your page.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. There it goes. It's getting there. Okay. Yep. There we go. Okay. Maybe not. Okay. All right. So we have a new guest in the house. Jana. No, Yana. Right?
Yeah,
Yana. Yana. It's funny how uh, different names are spelled. I mean, sound different around the world. I had some
yeah,
friends, their names would be uh, Jana. If you're in the south of the United States, it'd be Jana. But if you're in the north, it'd be maybe Jana, and yours is Yana. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
It's good to have you come on the show.
Thank
I think,
you.
yeah, thank you. I think you started by you recommended. Were you the one that recommended Mary? You sent me a
No,
message. No, that wasn't you. Somebody else did that. I like to connect the dots because somehow or another it awakens a code. But yeah, I thought that you had recommended somebody to me, and I said, "Well, hey, why don't you?" Yeah, you did. You recommended Mary from Ireland. You did. I'll pull up the thing,
I don't remember.
yeah, and I said, well, because what happens is a lot of times I don't get to messages. It takes me like 2 or 3 weeks, when I can get
Mm,
back to messages, and you said, hey, why don't you have this girl on? And I'm like, yeah, I've had her on a bunch of times, and I'll ask her again, which I did. And then I said, well, why don't you come on? Because I went to your page and I saw the kind of stuff you were involved in. I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. Yeah, so I don't know if you're familiar, how familiar you are with the show, but it's a conversation, so you can ask questions too. It's just a conversation.
mm-hmm.
Uh, but I love to ask the question, did you have a wake up experience, or have you always been this weird?
Yeah, kind of a combination, I think. Yeah, I was probably the strange kid or something like that.
You were a strange kid,
Yeah, kind of a yeah. Asking questions that weren't really usual for a child, but
right?
just asking internally, really.
Right.
And then it just got more and more strange.
So
Yeah.
so you always had it when you were born. A lot of people that come on the show, they say that, I had it when I was young,
Mm,
and then my parents told me that not to talk about it, or my imaginary friends were not real, or maybe you make it, you keep it alive, and then you get out of school and you get married and you get a job and you try to be normal, and it kind of shuts
yeah.
down for a while. And then a lot of people like myself, they go through kind of I guess a rebirthing, or a reawakening, or a remembering, or traumas get you to a certain point in your life where you just say,
Mm,
I can't live any other way. I've got to live this way, this weird way, this crazy way. Uh,
yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
yeah. So did you have the typical traumas and dark nights of the soul and all that stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember as a probably earlier teenager, the biggest problem for me was this feeling of separation. Like I was just thinking about why am I here? Like why did God kind of throw me here into this crazy
Yeah.
place where I don't really get what's going on here?
Yeah.
And this kind of stuff, just asking questions and really this pain and suffering from being in this separation game. So yeah, but it gets better, right?
Oh yeah. Well, we've come a long way. But I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
but I think that's an important thing. I mean, people talk about being an empath, and there certainly is something to be said for that. But I think, you know, because of the hypersensitivity and the sensitivity of being empathic, which I believe we all are,
yeah,
personally, that's just my personal opinion. Almost like we go too far with it. I think the point about being an empath is that we are able to feel everything, and if we get to the point where we seem to be getting to now, which is we can no longer hide in our houses, like a caveman, and not go outside.
Yeah.
We're actually supposed to be here so we can feel those things and then share our our reaction, not really our response,
Mm-hmm.
working with the energies. That's what my soul tells me every day. More and more is work with everything out there,
Mm-hmm.
because you do have
Mm-hmm.
this ability to feel everything out there. So work with it instead of judging it or putting up a boundary here, or I mean, this is inevitable. Oneness is oneness. We don't have a choice in this thing. And I think a lot of us are going towards the light, kicking and screaming and trying to like hold on to this identities we've developed, because we're empathic and basically yeah, we're here, I think, to to cross through that little ring of fire and kind of connect the dots for the universe, for ourselves. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah. My experience is a lot like I go through stuff like in the normal everyday so-called life, and kind of I work with it internally. And so I feel it just kind of goes into the collective, or that I'm able to, assist the others. So this is probably my like, yeah, why stuff is happening. But also there's of course a lot of like the, I don't know, past lives, trauma clearing, So
yeah, yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting. And now like everything is speeding up. So we are able to do like four really big topics in one day. So
yeah,
it's really like, wow, I'm just feeling like this roller coaster, like, whoa. you know?
yeah.
Mm.
Really. I mean, it can come in any form too. Like I obviously do a lot of shows, and every now and then, every show is like a session. So every show, people will say,
Mm.
"You did two shows today. That's all you did?" Well, I'll be like,
Mhm.
"You don't understand. You do a show, that's an energetic experience. That takes a lot of energy. But,
Mhm.
sometimes there's surprises. Sometimes I'll do a show and I'll think, wow, that was great. And I'll start walking down the street, la di da, and then all of a sudden, boom, something hits me. And I'm like, whoa. And then I realize it's from the interaction. We're sharing code, and that opens up
Mhm.
something else. And that, like you said, there's three or four things will come in. And it
Yeah.
seems to be the other thing that seems to be kind of coming into the fold is it used to be, well, oh, this was a physical experience, or this was an emotional experience, and this was a mental experience, but now they're all together. They all
Indeed.
come, right? They all come together, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but
So,
I find that it's more easier and easier. I
yeah,
remember like years ago,
yeah,
I could stay with one topic like for days.
yeah,
I'll be like really, it was difficult sometimes, especially when you can remember like really dramatic stuff, like being killed or whatever. But now
yeah.
it's just like everything goes like, even if it's intense, I can feel it like it is intensity and give some memories coming back. But it's just like, it's fast. I can do it very, really fast and do even more topics a day and still be like, usually I'm functioning in the normal life as well. Like, like I do stuff and yeah, actually I do a lot of stuff.
You're better than me, unless you count online stuff, doing stuff with other people, because I spend all my time alone, and I,
Mm.
I guess this is the way my soul has worked it out
Mm-hmm.
during this period, because I know a lot of people have been in isolation and been alone, going back to last year, but certainly this year, and a lot of people getting
Mm.
moved around the planet and put in certain positions. Like, why am I here? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
there definitely seems to be, from everyone I've talked to this year, as the year's gone on, even this month, there definitely seems to be, like you said, it's not just speeding up. It's becoming something totally different than where we came from. Like there's a lot of things leaving our field. Like a lot of the traumas impact is leaving us. You see it more and more out there, even though there's a lot of propaganda, in the news and the governments and all that. But it's becoming less of a factor.
Mm.
How is it in Slovakia? Do you run into a lot of people that are, or are there communities of people
Mhm.
that, oh, there are, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do my own workshops and I have a meditation group that's been running for a couple of years. And so usually that's how I meet friends. I usually meet
Locally?
people. Yeah, locally, yeah. I live in a
Wow.
small town, Trenčín. I'm so lucky. I have a beautiful forest just like 5 minutes from here. And so, yeah, there are many communities. What is maybe a little bit different is that many people go into like, the old Slavic stuff. They want to reconnect with this old Slovak or even Slavic, I don't know, culture or code or something.
Oh,
I'm
really?
more into Yeah, I'm more intergalactic. Like I don't want to close
Yeah,
myself in a box, but I think it's just kind of period, and they probably need to reconnect with that, and then go to a bigger picture. But yes, there are many groups, and it's the same. I think all over the world.
that's
People are
interesting.
awakening. Yeah.
So they're the people, in general, the people that you kind of collaborate with, they tend to go into the spiritual roots of their cultural, um, region and location
Well,
and history.
I don't really collaborate with them because my way, that's not my way. That's not what I do.
Mm,
I don't have any need, I don't feel myself to be Slovak, you know. I really
yeah.
appreciate this colorful, like in our planet, we have so many cultures, and I just so admire. I can be one day Mexican girl, next day I can be Japanese girl. It's
Yeah, no,
just,
I get that.
I love it, right? So I go like
Mm.
more like into embracing it all.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do my stuff, and that's why I don't connect with other spiritual whatever people, only with those who kind of come to my workshops
Yeah, that's what I mean.
for
Like,
these reasons, right?
yeah. So the people that come to your workshops locally,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Are you saying that they're kind of spiritual? Maybe they're just starting and they're starting
Mhm.
with the local cultural, ancestral kind of roots, like the indigenous, maybe?
They
And
they
are they?
might
Yeah.
they might, but probably they kind of like see my frequency, and they are probably willing to
Open.
reconnect more with. I'm really about reconnecting with the soul and higher self. I really followed the work of Franco de Nicola, so
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of teaching what he taught me, and
Oh wow.
my own stuff, of course. But
Well,
yeah,
him and I were really tight, right?
yeah. Well, that's how actually I came
Yeah.
to you and your show, because
Yeah.
I was
Yeah. Yeah.
watching his.
Yeah. We did 52 shows, 52,
Yeah.
and then he did a thing about three different ones at maybe five different ones when we were in Sedona doing the first Soulogy Fest. Yeah, that's great.
Mm.
And he's I know if you're familiar with it. I've got a good friend of mine, that lives in the U.S. and she's a real big, like, she watches him every day still, and she sends me little clips and everything, and it's pretty fascinating. So she's very well versed in it, probably like you. But if you remember, see, he transitioned October 21st of 2021, and I would say probably the last show we did was in September, but it was around August or September that he spoke a lot about, not a lot about the future, but he would say this is what's going on. But he did speak specifically about these times, specifically about
Yeah.
the from the equinox of September that goes up until I think around the equinox in March of 2027. So like this year 2026, based on the things that he said, which I find very accurate, in my heart's resonance, and some of the things that other people are kind of saying now, I feel like next year is going to be a really, really, a real game changer, like a life changer for the earth.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Yeah. I like to listen to his, you know, like YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Like
advancing consciousness.
yeah, I recommend to everybody. Like there is so much like just amazing information that you can always, you know,
Yeah,
listen to and have some new insights. So yeah.
yeah, advancing consciousness on YouTube, and there's
Mm-hmm.
204 videos, I think. He did this work, him and Kimberly Ross, bless her heart. I think they did it in about a year and a half. I mean, it was just an unbelievable amount of work that they put out. Incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And to this day, he's the most tapped in person I've ever met. You know, in
Yeah.
person. You know, and
Yeah.
well, and that I worked with or whatever. His story is amazing, and right at the end, because the Soulogy Fest in 2021 was in late May, I believe, the last week of May, and we stayed in a condo together. And I had talked to him privately quite a few times, but I was able to get him because there's a lot of things he would talk about, but he wouldn't talk
Yeah,
about it on
I
camera,
know.
right?
I know.
That's
I have experience.
remember that. And so,
Yeah.
so when he first came on Soulogy in 2018, the first couple of shows, he goes, because you know me, I ask a lot of questions, and he was like, "Oh well, I can't talk about that." And I said, "Well, why not? This is Soulogy," and that's kind of how it started. So he started talking, but toward the end in that summer,
Mm.
he was telling me about his personal life, and that was amazing. And I got him to actually talk about it on camera, about half of, half of the information. But I've had, uh, I've had quite a few, um, I guess you would say, dimensional visitations or exchanges or interactions with him since he transitioned, including the night he transitioned. Um, and I've heard other people say that too. And it sounds like you have a little bit of contact with him as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when things get really rough, I'm like, oh, Franco, where are you? But
I'm not the
it's,
then I'm not the only one. I've done the same
yeah,
thing. I think I did it. I think I did it during this month. To be honest with
I
you.
try not to overuse it. I know he's got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I feel so blessed, you know. I also had some like private conversation with him and I went to Canada to
Uh huh.
see him and have sessions. So I really am so grateful for that because yeah, it was not even like not like helpful. It was just a you know game changer totally.
Yeah. 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 I met a sister not too long ago that actually lives in Toronto, and knew him uh, but on a personal basis, like through a family member or something. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember how it's set up, and then was introduced to his work because of the
Mm-hmm.
connection and another big follower who gets some visitation, I would say, from him as well. Yeah. So shout out to Kimberly Ross and Franco de
Yeah,
Nicola because the work they've done advancing consciousness on YouTube, it's gold. It's gold. You know, it's going to be one of those things when like in the next civilization, they find all the data of the internet, and that's going to be like the
yeah,
like the Dead Sea Scrolls because it's very helpful
yeah,
information. Yeah, it really is. So
yeah, yeah.
that's been a big influence on what you do
Yeah,
now.
and I wanted to mention it on the show today with you because
Mm,
just kind of like remind people if people don't know him or you know
yeah,
really I recommend
yeah,
listening. Also, he shared many processes like many meditations and
yes,
processes that you can just like play from YouTube. So
yeah, yeah. Very selfless, very selfless man. Very
mm.
powerful. Uh, and yeah, we could talk about him forever. And but
Yeah, I guess so.
I also noticed that it what actually caught my eye when I went to your page to see who is this woman sending me this message. I don't know who she is, but you look familiar, and I'm like, yeah, I think I met her before. I think I met you in maybe in Morgan's group, one of Morgan's groups, and but I saw
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
you were working with, and I've met a few ladies in the last few weeks. I've had some shows. I know two for sure, but I can't ever remember anything who they are. but they were specifically talking about, one of them talked about tapping into the wisdom of their womb. You know how some people say, let me tap in with my
Mm-hmm.
team and let me check in with my team and see what they're going to tell me. She was saying, I'm getting my information from my womb now. And then a
Yeah.
couple of the other ones were talking about the womb. And I just thought that was kind of interesting that I was having these conversations during basically the same time. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. So I just kind of wanted to acknowledge that you're doing that type of work. I've seen other women doing that type of work. I know a lady out of Britain that does the work locally as well, womb massages, and I know quite a few. And so that seems to be something that's coming on board. Um, and what moved you to move into that type of work? Or is that a big part of your work, the womb and working with the feminine?
Actually, not at all. This is probably kind of new for me.
Oh, okay.
I was never into this, but it started, I don't know, probably when Morgan was doing her group and I joined because I felt like I definitely need to join this group, this universe group. And so when I was a participant there and I experienced it, and the things I have experienced, I have seen, I have witnessed were very, let's say, interesting, colorful. And so I kind of understood that this is really needed to be done now. And I keep getting the message like you need to really work with the body, with the body, with the body. Because for years, we usually wanted to connect with the upper chakras and, we want to go to higher dimensions or whatever. But we are still in the physical body. So we really need to work with the body and start to really love the body and appreciate it and see for what it is.
Hmm.
And so yeah, and it's so great to see the experiences of the women who go through this kind of work, and myself also. I mean, it's just amazing because we are still just kind of learning what these bodies are capable of. We still don't know. We are just it's like a tool. We are still kind of like what is this for, what is that for? So
And do you feel like the body's come online here the last couple of years? I mean, I know
oh,
this,
definitely,
right? Like doing this
definitely.
show. Yeah, it almost seems like well, I guess it does. I shouldn't say almost.
Yeah.
It's the experience that I'm having, uh, and that I have talked to people about for the last couple of years, is really like the body's become a voice. We have these
Mm-hmm.
other aspects of us that have a voice. Sometimes it's just the same voice, and sometimes it's part of the one piece of aspect of the voice, but that the body's really come online as being a one of the bigger voices now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's part of our consciousness, right?
Yeah.
The body streams straight into our consciousness. Actually, it communicates with us all the time,
Mm.
but we kind of are very well trained into suppressing it.
Yeah.
The children are trained into like you have to sit here and you have to this and that and this and that. And even now I still have to like be aware of the body and relax it because I got into the habit to kind of tense my muscles
Yeah.
because it's like this constant feeling of not being safe since the childhood. So I learned, like probably more people learned, like tense the muscles.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like so I
Yeah.
have to be like, oh, you can relax. So we
Well,
probably need to do this couple of times a day, just kind of relax the body, just kind of like you are safe. It's okay. We are not. Yeah, I say they don't burn people anymore here. You are like okay.
no, that's very true what you're talking about. I
Yeah.
mean, it's we think of the traumas. We're so focused or hyper focused on this incarnation, but I think we're finding out more and more every day that a lot of what's been stored in the body is from ancestral lineage and
Yeah.
past lives. No, I totally agree with you. For years, I can go back 4 or 5 years. I'd have people come on here and they'd be like nervous system specialists. Like you got to do the nervous system nurse. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? But then over the last couple of years, you start to realize, whoa, wait a minute, I'm shaking, or I feel something. It happened to me last night. I did a show, and it was kind of like what I was telling you earlier. And it was a great. I worked all day, did this show. It was a lot of energy, and I believe at that right before I went for a walk, or right when I went for a walk. No, I went for a walk because I get a lot of information when I walk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm.
realized that's when the thing hit. Like the bottom dropped out, like that big dump truck coming from up above. All this stuff fell on me. I was like, whoa. And I came back, and the first thing I said to myself was, I've got to focus on my nervous system. I can't
Yeah.
worry about what is it, and the memories that came up, or the programs that came up, or whatever came up that's rattled me. Let me just focus on my nervous system first. So I walked to the beach. I sat in front of the waves. I drank a bottle of water, and I just sat there, until it calmed down as much as I could, and then I went back and went to bed and had lucid
Good.
dreams. Yeah. But I mean, you're right about that. There's a lot to be said for that. It's like like you drive the car and you have all the gauges and everything. That's the nervous system. Like, okay, that's in the red zone. I got to fix that, or slow down, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Yeah, it's important. It's important.
Yes, especially because we have been trained like not to do that. We have been trained not to tune into the body, not to care about this or that, just be focused on, like some kind of outward stuff. But this time I think it's so important to look after ourselves. It
Yeah.
is like vital.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Mm.
And I think a lot of things are coming into question too. As Franco would talk, which I loved, the bad actors, these are our playmates. They're just playing a different role. But if you look at the way we all design this realm, okay, from our multidimensionality, from our soul, okay, um, if you just look at like the last 120 years, you can kind of see around 1900 a lot of things changed, right? They talk about these resets. They talk about these existing buildings that we're building on top of, and these world fairs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have income tax, and you have World War I. But you also had the takeover of the educational system, the pharmaceutical, and the food. And so that's what I was getting at. It's like a lot of people, me included, like I love to eat and I love to cook. I can't do it anymore. I can eat once a day, and even now, if I'm eating because I'm in Mexico and I got a lot of tacos and I love tacos, but even if I eat once a day and it's too heavy, I'm by the 24 hours later, I still haven't eaten and I'm still not hungry. So there's these
Yeah.
radical changes that are occurring that are overriding 3 meals a day, or you know uh, put here's a big one that's come out lately is sunglasses actually are inhibitor.
Yeah.
They're actually, and so is suntan lotion. you know
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy, these things that we've accepted in a short period of time, but they're starting to come to the surface now, including vaccinations and other medical treatments that are meant to keep you perpetually sick and in need of something to ease things and prolong things. It's interesting. And I feel like the body, uh, our collective body's voice, is kind of leading the way, because we're going, hey, no more. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting experiment in consciousness, isn't it? Like, create this level of separation and this kind of playground. I just sometimes when I feel really detached, like not in my ego, I can just like look and be in awe,
Yeah.
like all the
Yeah.
things that you mentioned, like actually how clever, I mean, the
Yeah.
system is to shut us down. And I'm like, wow, how can you even think about that? Whoever thought about it? And especially like because I also teach children, the school system is just like, wow, it's a technology. I call it technology, for
Yeah.
cutting the children from source, from their selves, from the bodies, from each other. It's really a technology for doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a suppression of creativity. That's what the whole thing is. It's been a suppression of creativity, which is our sacred
Yeah.
sexuality, which speaks to the distortion of sexuality and the emphasis of it, because that's really the root of our power is our creativity slash
Yeah.
sacred sexuality. But yeah, totally, I totally get that. But it's interesting too because you mentioned the kids, and I remember when I reawoke in 2011, and like a lot of people, those first year or so, you're just getting, you know,
Mhm.
downloaded and downloaded and downloaded, and everyone thinks you're crazy. But I remember them. I
Yeah.
remember them telling me, and this would have been 20. This would have been around 2012. Uh, 2012, 2013. By the time I was getting this part of it, and I remember them saying to me, you and those like you are going to bust your ass. You're going to really work hard for about 10 years, 10, 12 years, and then the kids are going to take over. And I think that word
Yeah.
kids means 1 month old, 11 years old, 15. I mean, I think it's just young people. And I
Mm.
always understood that, even back then, that they were not going to be afflicted by, obviously, by the programming and conditioning that some of us older people have been. But
Mm.
I feel like that time's starting to come. You work with kids. Are you seeing star seeds in these children?
Yes. Yes, I'm having two at home and they are teenagers already, so it's interesting. But these small kids, I work with kids of age like 6. We have in my little educational group, we have 6 to let's
Oh
say
wow.
12,
Okay.
in a kind of small setting. But and I teach the smaller ones, and yeah, when you look into their eyes, you can see like wow, and they are so like how they can verbalize things. They are so eloquent many times. You're just like
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
little body, you can just see that the wisdom is just kind of like streaming from their
Yeah.
eyes
Yeah.
sometimes. I can just see that. I go like, wow.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of this change. I think at this point, a big part of a bigger part of our evolution for people like us is getting accustomed to the way things work. And we do know instinctively, innately, because it's our nature, but we've been so far removed from it, like you said, that separation,
Mm,
of
yeah.
self, of nature, and so on. But it's a good example to me with these children. They're not necessarily going to explain things to people. You know what I mean? It's not. That's kind of the old paradigm. It's a higher than
Mm,
telepathic kind of thing. It's their frequency, like a tuning fork. And I
mm,
agree with you. I live in this. I've been living in this small little Mexican town in Mexico for a few months, and it's very authentic. It's not commercialized,
mm.
and so they're worker families, and it's like a time warp, It's like something from 40, 50 years ago. But one of the
Okay.
main things about it is like this past weekend, they had a holiday. So they have a town square, like a plaza, right in front of the church, and they come out and put up tents and carnival rides, and it's just the purest thing. You never see people arguing, you never see fights, you never see broken glass, and you see all these children.
Mm,
And the reason that I brought it up is because it was, I think, a couple of nights ago. I was laying down and I couldn't sleep because it was pretty loud, and I live like 3 blocks away. And I thought I'm gonna go see what's going on. So I just walked through there, and I was amazed at the children. And it was probably like 11 o'clock at night. It was a big holiday. Uh, and it was their eyes. It's like every now and then one would walk by me and their eyes would bug out and look at me like. So I
yeah.
guess they're seeing something. I'm seeing them. But yeah, the energy of it is pretty powerful. Yeah. And
Yeah, yeah.
the other thing I pick up here too is the animals.
Mm-hmm.
Here there's horses, dogs, cats, obviously birds. But I mostly see and I can see something there that's different too. I don't know if you've experienced that.
Well, yeah, it's it's this profound connection is going and starting everywhere. I have two pets at home. I have a dog and a cat, and it's like, I'm trying to learn the like how to say it, speaking without words with my cat,
Yeah, yeah,
because he's of course he's a master in it,
yeah,
and also I like to watch the interaction between them. It's a dog and a cat, and it's really nice to see how they can be in peace and not to fight or anything.
yeah.
And
Animals are very entertaining in that respect.
mm,
Have you, I've done two shows with a lady, a sister called Lyra Kelly Martin in the last 3 months, and that's what she does. She has a whole incredible story,
mhm,
and with her animals and animals in general, uh, and yeah. Well, so I really was intrigued talking to her, and I'm like, hey, can you teach me how to do that? But I think just from
yeah,
talking to somebody that does something like that, you know, I think just you're picking up code.
yeah,
Doesn't have to be instruction, so to speak. Like she told me one thing. She said, "Listen," because I at the time I was living with two cats. I was house sitting, and I was experiencing things with them even before I talked to her. I'm like, "Are you talking to
mhm,
me?" Like I could hear things, and you know how it is.
yeah,
But when I talked to her, she said, "Look, just trust yourself. You can hear them. Just trust yourself." And I'm
mhm,
like, "Okay." So I mean, to me, it's almost like, if we can connect to an aspect of us on Venus or some other
mhm,
timeline or whatever the place is, why couldn't we do that with an aspect of us? Because it's all connected. And that's really what the big story is. That's really what has been kind of, designed to keep us from understanding that we're all connected. And with that connection comes a whole different experience like we experience in dimension and so on.
mhm. Yeah, and especially when it's like your pets, it's profound the level of communication, the level of love that we can experience. It's just like these eyes look at you, and they're definitely you can feel the consciousness that love.
Yeah,
It's so beautiful. Sometimes I'm just like brings me to tears. This kind of
yeah,
connection.
yeah, yeah. I think
But yeah.
go ahead.
These days it's kind of easy to be brought into tears from the joy and love just pouring through. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's an age when you can laugh and cry at the same time
Oh
because
yes.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Yeah, because you'll be laughing and at the same time some big trauma will be coming back to you. Like, oh my God, why is that here? I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't think, I think it was the middle of this month. So yeah, I just got through this like about 10 days ago, and then another one hit me last night. But I went through about a 10-day period, and there was a point where I was curled up in a ball on the mattress behind me, and I hadn't done that in years. I mean, I was like,
Wow.
the thing was, I kind of knew what was happening, like through the memories that were coming back,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was one of those things. It was like I was telling him, "Hey, get me out of here. I'm done. I'm really done. This is not making sense anymore, and I'm sick and tired of it." and
Right.
and my soul came in and said, be careful what you're saying." But what I'm saying is, I was realizing at the time, oh, this is going to pass, not pass, but I'm going to be on the other side of this, and there's going to be a shift. And at the same time, I'm crying because of the grief or whatever, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, and the fact that so many of us can talk about this stuff now and not be hiding it or
Mhm.
uh, denying it or ignoring it because we're not ashamed anymore. We're not, blaming and projecting and externalizing anymore. We're saying this is my journey, and I'm, you know,
Yeah, then also, it's gonna pass because you went through it before. I mean, I remember these ego deaths, like the first or second I had, I was like, I really was thinking I was gonna die. I was like, this level of pain and heartbreak, no way I can survive this. Like, I probably am not
right,
going to wake up in the morning. But then you wake up in the morning and actually you feel like you are, I don't know, 100 kilos lighter, and everything is like brighter and everything is, and so the next time when you go through it and through it again, it's like if we can remember like it's gonna pass, it's really good, because then we can just hold ourselves through it. Even when we cry or something, we can just hold ourselves, and we need to give love to ourselves, which we are still in training to do that, I guess. To love ourselves fully. So yeah, it's a good training, and it's quite amazing playground we have co-created here.
Yeah, like you
But
said.
and
Like,
yeah, and even more exciting to like change it, like when you think about it, how great it is to be in this kind of playground and have the opportunity to actually be the ones who are changing it slowly, and we are going to create, and we are creating something new. I think that is just like so exciting.
yeah, yeah. You were saying earlier about wow, look at what we created. I mean,
Yeah.
it's genius. But yeah, I've always said, or my soul's always said to me, which I guess is one and the same. Uh, who better to fake you out? Who better to fool you than yourself? You know how a lot of people. I'm sure you can relate to this. I know I
Yeah.
can. Where you'll go, can y'all just tell me just a little bit more so I can know just a little bit more, and it comes back and it's like, yeah, if we tell you that, then the whole game is over because we're that intelligent. We're that intelligent. If you give us a little bit more, we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and game over, and we still need to be here and play this game because that was our choice, and it's a
yeah,
good game.
yeah. I used to tell Franco all the time when he would explain all this stuff, and I'd be like, what's going to happen is we all want to get out of here, but once we see that it's almost over, we're going to be like, hey, wait a minute, slow it down. I don't want to leave yet. And if you remember,
Yeah.
part of what Franco did, of the many many things he did that he had recollection of, he used to uh, I guess, greet the souls that had committed suicide, right? And they would come because this lifetime that he had as Franco was the only lifetime he had here. He had drop-ins, but he never.
Yeah.
Okay, so part of what he would do is they would come out, and he would be there to greet them, and these were specifically suicides, and because somebody had asked the question, or I asked the question of, what happens with the suicide, and he said, the first thing that happens is they look at me and go, man, that was great. I want to go back.
I haven't heard that. Thank you for sharing.
Mm,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. But it speaks to the whole thing. Now, I think what's interesting now is, and again, we designed this thing, but now that there's more information coming out, and you can see like the layers of it, like for instance, yeah, we know we're suppressed and programmed and conditioned here, and certain playmates that are the bad actors or controllers or secreted away the esoteric knowledge and technology, and secret space program and all these different things. um, and they talk about like the moon is, and Franco and I both
Oh yeah.
talked about this, what the moon was brought over here. There was a time before there was
Yeah.
a moon and such, but that it's a soul recycler, what do you call it, reincarnation loop and all that. These are all narratives. Every one of these things is an external force presenting something to you or to me that we'll latch on to. That each one of them requires a belief system, and now these belief systems are shattering. So what happens
Yeah.
when all the belief systems shatter, and yet you're still in your body standing on the earth? Now this is going to
Yeah.
be, this is where
Yeah.
this is why I came. This is what I want to see. And I want to be around for a few hundred years because I mean, I really feel like this is, and I've always said this, and he said this too, because I would ask him, and I said, I don't think that there's ever been an experience like this before, you know,
Mm.
yeah, because I mean, and I asked him because he had recollection of several different planetary, incarnations or whatever.
Mm.
And he said, no, there's never been one like this. We're like
Mm-hmm.
universally seated. So everything is
Yeah.
learning from us. And yeah, I think
Yeah.
we'll start to see ourselves in a different light soon.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. I had one really profound experience while he was leading a meditation, and I think it was in Canada, yes.
Mm.
And it was like, so he was leading this meditation, this process. And so I was seeing myself flying in like a small, small some machine in the space, and there were some other beings around flying too, but they were like not human or something, and they were like, "Wow, look at her! She's been to Earth."
Oh yeah.
It was like felt like fireworks and like wow, and everyone was greeting me like, "Wow, look at her! She's been to Earth."
Yeah.
And this like this something special and profound. I'm not saying that we are something special here, but it's just a probably different level of game or something like
Well,
that,
I think it's the
and we
latest and
can,
yeah, I think it's the latest and greatest version. Like something will be greater than this after
yeah.
this. But yeah, I and then I had somebody I had so many high powered sisters on. I can't remember who's who said what. But
Mm,
I'm pretty I just don't want to get it wrong, so I won't mention the name. But it was in the last two or three shows, four shows. But she talked and she's very tapped in. And she talked about the same thing. And she said, and I hadn't heard this before. I'd heard that in a sense that for years, oh, the whole universe is watching y'all, and they can't believe how far you've gone, how fast you've come. And she was saying that one of the reasons that they're so intrigued and curious is because they can't believe that we're doing it in this density in these bodies.
yeah.
And it hit home, and I went, wow, yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because that body is getting really loud, as we talked about. And it's kind of like I just noticed with myself, like I have some pretty good habits. I got a couple of bad habits, but whatever, it's mostly energy, right? I try to focus on my energy. If my body tells me something, I listen. I don't put it off anymore. I'm like, okay, no problem, right? But what
Mm,
I've noticed is that the changes are occurring no matter what. Like if I eat too much or something, my body's going to let me know. But it's still
mm-hmm.
change. It's still transforming and it's still changing,
Yeah,
constantly. Um,
yeah.
it's like when you have a discomfort or an affliction or you get some kind of virus or whatever the case is, your body's not just telling you that, and making you feel it, but also giving you the information of what it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
had an
indeed.
episode about a week ago, and I never had this happen before. It would be kind of like a UTI infection for a woman, right? And I never had this happen. It was the most painful thing in my life for like 4 hours, right? And so as I walked to town to go get some a prescription, get some medicine, right, for it, my soul said, "Don't do that. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to do that.
Okay.
This is something else." Right. And sure
Mm-hmm.
enough, I came back home and a half hour later, I was fine. But it was a
Yeah.
transformational experience, and my body was releasing stuff specifically from the sacral.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, we very often experience like stuff from the past lives, like some pains or aches can be, connected with that, like injuries in the past lives. So I feel we just, if I just kind of give it attention and give it love, like I see you, I acknowledge, I don't need to know what happened where, I'm not going to look for it. I just feel the sensation and just give the body a lot of love and care. That's what it means. Yeah.
So, are you finding everybody's different? Some people have, especially early on, there's certain aspects that might wake a person up. Like maybe for this guy over here, it's Saint Germain or the Arcturians or elementals or fairies or dragons, and but I've noticed that as we've gotten into this year, there's less and less talk about that. There's talk about,
Mm-hmm.
well, the dragons are here, or the elementals are speaking, or the animal kingdom or the plant kingdom is starting to be heard, and they're happy and they're waiting on us. But it seems like it's turning into something where it's coming from us now, right? Does
Yes.
that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Can
it's
you
my
can you speak
experience.
to that?
Yeah, it's also my personal experience. Like I don't really, I listen sometimes to something, but I need to feel be called to. But I keep hearing this message, like you need to really connect to your inner knowing. You know, like really just to connect to your soul and higher self, and take messages. It's really good to write down the messages that come through, so the ego wouldn't interfere with that. But yeah, we really need to, I think, bring our own code. So for that we need to be kind of like in our own energy, not so much to be, concerned with whatever is going around us, because there is so much stuff. I think if we really saw everything what was going on around us, it would be just kind of like overwhelmed, because I think it's a lot. I think it's really, we're gonna be quite amazed once we are out of the game, and we're gonna just like watch it from some other place and just remember, like, and see it as what it was from other point. We're gonna be pretty amazed, like, how we did we do that, even how did we even manage, to go through this. Like, I think we really need to acknowledge each of us, like ourselves and our journey, and just like, yeah,
True.
be on that
Yeah.
acknowledging energy.
Yeah, it seems like the way this expands and is it what's happening as we proceed, whether we let go or be dragged, it's requiring more presence. And I think the other thing that you bring up that's overlooked and it's very important. I can think of two examples. One of them is the book The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, which came out around 2012 around the time I woke up. And it was about a man who died, and his sister was a psychologist, Ann Kagan, and he started talking to her, and she wasn't a believer, and he started talking to her from the other side, and she wrote this fascinating book on it. It's a very nice read. Anyway, one of the things he says is, uh, if people knew all the energies around them and the influence they had on the person, they would be so lightened up and not blaming themselves so much and not being in self judgment. And I think the other thing I can think of would be in regard to like the visible light spectrum. Supposedly we only can see like
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2%, and I think what you're speaking to is that more of it is starting to come in both metaphorically and literally, right? And there's a great example too, and it was in, I believe, the Vietnam War. Um, And so they had these night vision glasses. And if you ever see night vision glasses, they're
Mm-hmm.
like green. They look green.
Yeah.
Well, evidently they had made a set that was red. And I don't know what the makeup was, or whatever the elements were that constructed it or whatever. I don't know. But what happened was they had to stop using them because the men would put them on and they would see all these demons and stuff flying around. And you can imagine in a situation where you
Okay.
have battles and wars, you can imagine that type of energy. It wouldn't like be like a walk in the park. So if we were walking in the park with the same things, you might see angels. You know what I mean? And so they had to stop
Yeah.
using them.
Wow.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think there's more coming into to our conscious awakened state. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's
And
happening.
stop all the judging and criticism and everything. Just like we really, I think, need to train ourselves to stop it, because it's just the ego anyways.
Yeah.
And why would you like be interested in what the ego has to say? If it's your
Well,
ego or somebody else's ego, usually it
yeah.
doesn't really.
Well, I think it's a.
Usually,
I think it's a. Well, you remember Franco talked about
yeah.
he talked about the active consciousness, right? The active consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, he would draw a circle, and he'd say, "Well, this is where it is today." Now, this would have been whatever back 3 or 4 or 5 years, whatever it was. And so you had all the different components. You had the subconscious, you had the galactic, you had the ego. And he said, what's going to happen at this time that we're at right now is that the active consciousness composition is going to change and the ego will take a smaller role. It'll still be there.
Yeah.
And it does have a good purpose because it can kind of tell us things. It's just that we've been trained to react to what it tells us. It's not the
Yeah,
one that makes the decisions here. It's more of like
indeed.
a red flag indicator kind of thing. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
But I agree with you. That's another thing. I came here to, we didn't just come here to awaken. We came here to do something with that information in the flesh, in these bodies. So that's one thing. And I don't understand, and I'm not here, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe victim consciousness is meant to remain. It just doesn't make sense. How can you have 5D plus in experience if there's victim consciousness, which is related to the ego,
mm,
which is related to fear, which
yeah,
is related to a death program and all that? So I'm with you. I feel
yeah,
like we can do these things. We could always do these things, uh, but we have to be conscious moment by moment and present. And it's not a hard thing. It's just getting used to it. That's really what it is.
yeah,
We say, well, I need to get used to the magic and the miracles and how abundance flows. Well, I think that's true, but I think the way it works is that from this body, the human conscious, active consciousness that we have to say no. Yes, I
yeah.
had that thought. Yes, I had that thought about somebody. I'm going to take that back, or I'm going to correct myself. Because the
Hmm.
other thing that's happening too is once something comes into our awareness, it changes. It changes unless we want to go back into that old pattern. But if we do, we're probably going to get our butt kicked because the universe isn't playing around anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just thoughts. I mean, we don't really have to like catch the thought and really like follow it or something.
Mm.
It's a great training. I see it as a training, like training to have all these thoughts or whatever it is and like not choose it, right? And it's all this very also it's done through us because we are clearing all this stuff on this planet, and this is how it must be done through people or through the embodiments. It can't be done in a way that some being like, I don't know, some archangel is going to come here and just put a lot of glitter on planet Earth and everything is cool.
No.
It can't be done like that. It can be only done through the beings who are incarnated on the planet.
Yes.
So that's why we are here. And this is actually the source of the greatest probably joy for me, because when I realize that it can be done through me, I just feel
Yeah.
so,
Yes.
even like honored, and even like I can feel pain or something. But when I remind myself of this thing, immediately I shift into this like, wow, this can be done through me as well. So
Yeah. Well, it is done through you. It's all
it
you.
is.
That's the
Yeah,
thing. That's the
it's
crazy
all
thing.
me.
See,
Yeah.
we want to try to understand. We
Yeah.
want to, we want to try to understand and explain things from the human
Yeah.
verbalization and rationale. And this doesn't work that way. We talk about quantum entanglement. I mean, that tells you right there, everything's connected. Okay, so let's just say it's something as simple as a collective, one day we learn that if I talk about that person over there in a bad way, then I'm continuing the old paradigm. That's real energy that affects that other part of me, which just looks like a person, right? So if I think it's like gossip, it's like even like
Yeah.
these narratives, they're out to get us. They're out to get us. Well, yeah, in the game, from the human eyes, yes, that's ugly, but we're not just a human being. We're a soul. And and
Yeah.
and and the value of that is we can incorporate the soul after gaining a certain amount of awareness, and we can do what you're talking about. We can change this. We can change this. I had a brother call me yesterday, and he was distraught. A very good man. Big heart, just a beautiful guy, right? Wouldn't hurt a fly. And he's getting hit by, it sounds familiar, right? The family members are coming down on him, and and being rude and
Yeah.
saying, and I said, look, man, I know how you feel. A lot of people are going through this, particularly a lot of men. And I said, this is the way it works now. You change yourself. You change yourself, and that's going to change. Don't worry about them. It might be the third energy come in and change something on that person or of the situation or whatever. But like energy begets like energy. And as long
Yeah.
as I'm tied up, if you made me mad and all I can think about is she made me mad and well, you're going to be connected, and you're going to be connected in that discord, as opposed to, the opposite, which is the connectivity and the openness, and that field and that grid that I believe a lot of us have been a part of creating in the last few years. It's already there.
Yeah, and it's not even possible that somebody would make us mad because we make ourselves mad, don't we? Like
Yeah.
we agree to be mad, we agree to whatever. And actually, we were teaching this with the kids in in my school today. We were
Yeah.
explaining like if somebody tells something not nice about you, well, you just kind of like tune to your heart, tune to, is this true for me? Is this how I feel myself, how I experience? And if it's not, which is not, okay, just like, you don't have to care about it. This is like
Yeah.
his or her view, and
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with you. So,
That's right.
but we are
That's right.
learning, like kids are learning, parents are learning, teachers are learning. We all are still learning this lesson, and it's so important to learn this. Really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think at the same time, if somebody criticizes you, okay, I feel like for myself, I'm going to listen, like you just said to the kids. I'm going to take it in and hear maybe there's something I'm missing, but then I'm going to let it
Yeah,
go, right? Because
yeah,
it's not my deal. We all have this happen. I had this happen with a family member not too long ago. Well, you should do this and you should do that.
yeah,
He's talking about my, you know, what I do, and I didn't say anything, which I'm learning to do, just not say anything. Just let the silence speak. But
yeah.
in my head, I was thinking, well, start your own damn podcast. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm perfect. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you just you follow, and I think that's another thing that's happening too is there was a lot of deconstruction through last year. That 12 years from 2012 to 2024 solstice. There was a lot of things that had to be taken down to nothing. That had to be
Mm,
cut off, and we've all gone through it, right? But now
definitely.
you know what I mean? Yes, yeah. Yes, it's been provocative. It's been absolutely provocative. That's why I don't talk too much about my personal life anymore, because I can respect the privacy of my partner and me, and whoever that involves. You know what I mean?
Mm,
But what I was getting at is the purposes are starting to take hold. Our purposes, like what you're doing, without reservation. Like, I'm going to do this. Now, you don't have to go blast it out to the whole world. You know what I
yeah.
mean? You don't have to
Mm,
hide. You can just go do your thing every day and be in that presence with those that you're collaborating with, these children or other client or whatever people that you're interacting with. Because as we know, and I've obviously, with thousands of shows I've done, most of them are practitioners like you.
mm,
And one thing I've learned in talking with them and observing them is that a session works both ways. You know, for as much as you're giving
yeah,
to me, I'm giving to you. It's just a matter of,
definitely.
you know what I mean? It's a matter of,
Definitely.
it's true. It really,
It's
it's
so
very, it's,
profound how that works. Even on sessions when I do one-on-one, it's like, wow. Sometimes I would be speaking like, I don't know, if the other person doesn't hear their heart slow, it kind of goes through me. But I'm like, wow, this is like this goes inside of my being so deep because it's like for both of us. So it's quite profound how these things work. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
how did you get into the energy work? Was that something that a lot of people, when they would first get after the dark night of the soul, or really it's during the dark night of the soul, isn't it? Isn't that the crazy
Yeah.
part where the trauma,
Mhm.
the dark night comes in and the abilities and the downloads come in at the same time. So while you're curled up in a ball crying like a baby, you're also being told, "Hey, you're from this planet," or this is that. But I, I started laughing, so I got off track there. But oh yeah, so a lot of times part of what comes in with the downloads is a certain purpose. Like for me, like
Mhm.
Soulogy, being given the name Soulogy. Like, what is this? Well, you're going to figure it out. Is that how it worked for you, or were you already working with people in a healing capacity?
Well, I started to do healing actually for my daughter because my daughter was a young child of about 2 years and she was constantly being sick. And so I didn't know what to do. So I was like, well, I probably have to, to do something. And I started some healing modality. And then when I saw how it really worked on her, I was pretty amazed. And so little by little, I started, and I found that I really love doing it. And yeah, something like that.
Wow,
Mm.
it's
Well,
funny,
the
huh?
children are really, really, really great teachers. Like children are really,
Aren't they?
they kind of like always push me somewhere. They don't know about it, but yeah, they
Well,
bring a lot of stuff
yeah,
on
I
board.
think they're because they have because you're looking at really reflection, right? You're looking at life, you're looking at the universe, and especially if it's your
Yeah.
own kid, and you see the purity. You see the purity.
Mm.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about this the last few days, and I can feel my heart rumbling now. But I'll be 64, whatever. I don't look at age, but next month, just to give you some perspective. And I
Mm.
was, I had 6 children, um, and I was thinking about, which is really weird because I don't do this. I don't look back, so to speak. And I thought, what are the happiest moments of your life, right? What are the happiest moments of your life? And of course, I thought about the last 14 years, the last since reawakening,
Hmm.
my relationship, Soulogy, just different things, my journey. But I thought to myself, it was being with the kids when they were young. Like there's just something about it. And the reason I brought that up is because it reminded me, based on what you were saying, because I can remember, because I had like at this time probably there was like a 9, a 7, a 9 and 8, a 7, a 3, and a 2. So,
Wow.
yeah, and
That
so
sounds like a lot of fun.
oh, it was a lot of fun. But one of my kids, my oldest son, he would have these growing pains. When they start growing in their knees,
Hmm.
and he'd wake up in the middle of the night and and it just tears your heart open when your kid's hurting, right? And I remember just taking my hands and didn't even think about it, and just putting my hands
Hmm.
over the knees and doing it many, many times, and it would go away. Um,
Wow.
so I think there's something
Mm.
innate in all of us that's very instinctive that we recognize. And this has been when we talk about getting our memories back, I always used to think it would be, oh, I wonder what planet how did it go? What order did it go? And, or, what was I in a past life or whatever. But no, I think the memory is the memory of the body. This body, for all intents and purposes, is the soul. you know and what I mean by
Mm.
that is these things that are stored in the body that are breaking up. When they break up, something comes out, something gets turned on, another memory gets turned on,
Hmm.
whether it be putting hands on somebody, or some other thing that you can bring to the table, based on your soul signature, which is unique to you. Thank you, Franco.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where do you go from here, and where do you think we're going from here?
Well, I definitely feel we are all going into higher levels of joy.
Mm.
It's been like the message for the couple of past days, just like feeling more joy, having more fun, lightening up, you know. because we went through all this like dark stuff and I mean heavy stuff or whatever trauma and everything, but I really feel it's time to kind of like lighten up and to really be, I don't want to say focused, but really every day feel joy, laugh, have fun, do something that we really really enjoy doing, and enjoy this beautiful planet. Like we live on this amazing amazing planet, and sometimes we don't maybe even have time to really look at where we are, look at all the beauty around. So this is, I don't know, for me the message I've been getting lately, this is it. But also doing it consciously, like really refocusing every moment, maybe even like
Yeah.
to go like what would I like to do now, what would bring me
Right.
more joy, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that sounds crazy too, doesn't it? Like it's crazy. It's yeah, like I'll get off this show and I'm gonna go cut my hair for the first time in over 10 years.
Oh.
Yeah, I decided it's time. And but when I get done, because I have another show in a couple hours and another one tonight. But when I get done, if I walk outside and that's what I'll say to myself. I'll say, "What do you feel like doing?" And I'll smell some tacos, or maybe I'll go down to the juice bar and get some fresh organic juice made for me. Or, but that's what it's come to. It's not about, oh my God, I'll be happy when I get there, or what should I do tomorrow,
Mhm.
or what about that that's still bugging me from the past, or whatever. It's
Yeah.
literally, and it sounds crazy. What would I like to do right now? Am I happy doing what I'm doing? Do I really want to do that?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? But it's these, and I think that's why when you look at these children, the power of their frequency is that. It's like I've
Yeah.
always looked at it this way. You should tell Franco this. I feel like it's like, you have this giant room full of all these toys, and you let three or four kids in there, and they're just going to go to what they want to go to. You know what I mean? They're
Hmm.
going to go to what they want to go to. When they're done with it, they'll go to something else. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's how it works. And then the other thing too, and I know it's happened to me this year, and I believe it's happening to a lot of people, and that is that certain things are presented to you. Like, in other words, life kind of unfolds for you. Things come to you, and
Hmm.
it is based on your energy. But the more, like you said, the more you relax and stay, and you're in the present, and it's not just words because you can't fake it. Okay,
No.
uh, things will just appear to you. Things will just come to you.
Yeah.
And so that's a whole different whole. It's not even. It doesn't do it justice to say it's a whole different paradigm. I feel like
Mm.
what happened uh, during this first half of the year, or maybe in the summer or after the summer. I can't remember when this, but I think it was. I want to say around the end of August. Yeah, it was in the first part of September. A timeline shift into another dimension is how I felt. That's what it felt like to me. Like, we
Hmm.
felt timeline shifts before, but this was like, no, wait a minute, something's, well, going way over into the next tier. So I feel like
Yeah.
that. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So it's all good, and yeah, I think this is the really, I would call it, as Franco used to use the word organic, like the organic way of
Yeah,
life, just like
yeah,
following your
yeah,
joy. And doesn't have to be like something big, but like, okay, I want to have a sip of this water, or I want to go out and look at this flower or something like that. And just, it's our natural state to be in joy and love and peace and
yeah,
freedom.
yeah.
And so, yeah, that's our future.
I feel
Or
like,
even the present, even the present.
yeah. Well, I mean, you know what it is because I was getting it, like the last 2 days have been really, really powerful for me, and
Mm.
and I do a lot in dream state, and the last two, not well, last night was big, but the night before was the biggest dream state I've ever had my whole life. It was so powerful, and last night was pretty powerful. But one of the things I got out of it was that our innateness and our natural instinct operates at the highest level when we're present and we're spontaneous. Our intuition, our imagination, our creativity, right,
Yeah.
is all there. So in other words, you don't think about what's coming. You just let it come. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
in that state, you're kind of like, have you ever had something happen? Like, like, I don't know what a good example would be. Like, like maybe you have one of your kids and there's a bike coming down or a dog, and you just instinctively grab the kid and do something, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
move them out of the way. Rather than always be on alert and paranoid and suspicious and, you know what I mean, in fear. And that's kind of what I got out of it was, this is it. And I'm like, okay, well, what about this and what about that and how am I going to make money and how am I going to do this and it's like, no, just do this. If you do this, and so it's like, okay, I'm supposed to just not have a care in the world. And then I kind of heard, well, you care about everything. So how
Yeah.
can you not have a
Yeah.
care in the world? But you can't you control it from here, like you were saying at the beginning. You control it from right here. And I believe, what you said at the beginning too about the nervous system, because that's where it's centered. Everything is in that spinal column with all the
Mm-hmm.
nerves and the up to the brain, and it's not even so much the body, although it operates the body. It's like a transmitter. It's receiving and it's sending, and somehow or another, in this higher dimensional math, it happens at the same time. So it's a constant. It's a constant. Kind of equilibrium, or can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well, I'm
just
glad.
remembered.
Uh-huh.
I just remembered the Get Into the Funk, how it was that the song that somebody made with Franco.
That was my
I just,
that was my
yeah, I
friend.
just,
That was my friend. I have that. I have to get. I have a bunch of. I have like, I don't know, 7 or 8 thousand hours of material here on my hard drive. But yeah, that was pretty cool. That was a friend of mine that did that. He sent that to me. God, there was something else that happened too. I think you can get this on YouTube, but there was the first Soulogy Fest we did in Sedona, and Franco and Kimberly came down. So we did 3 days, and then it was over. But on the fourth day was a holiday. It was a Monday, and there's a restaurant in Sedona that's very popular. It's like the most popular restaurant. It's called the Chocolate Tree, and they have this beautiful courtyard with this giant tree and all this just cool stuff. Beautiful place, powerful place. So they let us have the place for free, and we would just buy drinks and food. Right now, people would buy their own, like you were at the restaurant. More people showed up for that. There was like 137 people showed up for that. And so they had a little stage, and my brother Ty was making the music, and I got up and I like to do a little rhyming sometimes, and a little conscious rap, and so Franco was going to speak. He was going to finish his series that he came to talk about, but he grabbed the microphone and he started rhyming.
really, wow.
I'm going to have to pull that up. Yeah, I remember that
Please
very.
do.
Yeah, he did good too. He was spending that time with him in Sedona was amazing. Kimberly even said, Kimberly was like, I haven't seen him like this. It like rejuvenated him. His
Hmm.
color came back. He was amazing, amazing soul. I miss him very much, and
Yeah.
but I know he's here, and I know he's
Yeah.
laughing. I've had too many visits from him. Believe me, it's crazy because not every time, but it's happened 3 times for sure. One of the ways I know he's coming is a cockroach will come.
Really.
Like in the place I live, I don't have cockroaches, right? I've only been here like 2 months,
Hmm.
but it was about 2 weeks ago. And I came in and there was a cockroach on the wall, and I said, and I didn't think about it right away. I didn't think about it, and I don't kill animals or nothing. I'm just, I, just- I know it'll leave, whatever. But I would come back and it would still be there, and then I realized, oh wait a minute, let me see what's happening. And sure enough, and this was right before I kind of went into that funk. Speaking of funk, and it was a whole thing with the root and the sacral and masculine and feminine, and it was just transformation.
Hmm.
And that was when I ended up being curled up in a ball and all that stuff. But
Okay.
yeah, yeah, but it they're all here, every one of them. They're standing right next to us, and I know that sounds hokey and woo woo, but it's a real deal. They're like
Yeah.
my friend said. I believe it was Raylene Brady, and she said that's what they're so amazed about is you're doing it in these bodies, and that just resonated with me so
Yeah.
much. I thought, wow, wow,
Hmm.
that's wild. But
Yeah. It is.
anything's possible, and a lot of the things that he talked about is it's happening now, and he's right on the money. So let's buckle up.
Hmm. Indeed. Let's enjoy the ride.
Yeah, there you go. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your
Thank you so
presence.
much.
I enjoyed it. It was a good way to start the day, and I look forward to seeing you down the road.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a nice day or
Thank you.
whatever you are
All right.
having.
All right. You take care. And for whoever's interested, we'll be back in, I think, 2.5 hours, something like